In the name of Allah, the most merciful, the most compassionate. What if I told you that a group of young men once chose faith over power, truth over safety, and Allah over the entire world, and Allah rewarded them by protecting them for more than 3 centuries in a dark cave while empires rose and fell outside? What if I told you that their story is not just history, but a living message for anyone who feels trapped today for believing in the truth? This is not an ordinary story. This is the story of Ashab-e-Kahf, the people of the cave, a story of courage, sacrifice, divine protection, and unwavering faith. Today listen with your heart, because this story may change the way you see fear, faith, and the help of Allah forever. There was a time when darkness ruled the land, not the darkness of night, but the darkness of belief. Idolatry was law, false gods were worshipped openly, and questioning them was considered the greatest crime. The king of that land was powerful, cruel, and merciless. His word was absolute law, and his law was built on shirk. Temples of idols stood tall, sacrifices were offered to stone and wood, and anyone who dared to believe in one God alone was seen as a rebel, an enemy of the state. In this very city lived a group of young men, not prophets, not angels, but ordinary youths blessed with extraordinary hearts. They were from respected families, educated, intelligent, and full of life, yet their souls were restless. Every day they watched people bow before idols that could neither hear nor speak, neither benefit nor harm. And slowly, silently, a question began to grow inside them. How can the Creator of the heavens and the earth be replaced by lifeless statues? They began to observe the universe, the sky above them, the sun that rose without fail, the moon that followed its path, the order in creation, the balance in everything, and their hearts testified that all of this could never be the work of false gods. There had to be one true Lord. Without any preacher, without any miracle shown to them, Allah guided their hearts. They believed in Him quietly at first, hiding their faith, protecting it like a precious treasure. But truth has a light that cannot be hidden for long. Their belief became known, whispers turned into accusations, and soon the news reached the royal court. The king summoned them, and they stood before his throne, young, calm, but firm. He questioned them, threatened them, tempted them with power and wealth, and finally warned them of punishment. But these young men spoke words that shook the court. They declared that their Lord is the Lord of the heavens and the earth, and they would never call upon anyone besides Him. If they did, they said, they would surely be wrongdoers. The king's face burned with rage. He could not tolerate defiance, especially from the youth, because youth carries the future. He gave them time, hoping fear would break them, but fear only brought clarity. When they left the court, the city no longer felt like home. Every street felt dangerous. Every sound felt like surveillance. They gathered together and made a decision that would define eternity. They chose Allah over comfort, faith over family, truth over life itself. They decided to leave the city secretly and seek refuge somewhere far from the eyes of tyranny. On the outskirts of the city, beyond the mountains, there was a cave, silent, dark, and abandoned. To the world, it was a place of death. To them, it became a door to Allah's mercy. As they walked toward the cave, a loyal dog followed them, sensing their sincerity. When they reached the cave, they raised their hands and made a supplication that Allah Himself preserved in the Qur'an forever. Our Lord, grant us mercy from Yourself and prepare for us guidance in our affair. With that prayer, they entered the cave, not knowing what awaited them, not knowing whether they would live or die, knowing only one thing, that Allah never abandons those who trust Him. And then something extraordinary happened. Allah caused them to fall into a deep sleep, not an ordinary sleep, but a divinely protected state. Their bodies rested, their souls were under Allah's care. The sun would rise and set, but Allah turned it away from harming them. Their bodies were turned from side to side so they would not decay. Their dog lay at the entrance of the cave, guarding them. Anyone who passed by and saw them would be filled with fear and turn away. Outside the cave, centuries passed. Kings died, kingdoms collapsed, beliefs changed, truth spread, idolatry weakened. The very land that once punished belief in one God now embraced it. Generations were born and buried. History turned its pages again and again. But inside the cave, time stood still. For 300 years and 9 more, the youth slept peacefully under Allah's protection. Then, when Allah willed, He woke them up. They opened their eyes thinking they had slept for a day or part of a day. Hunger touched them, and they decided to send one of them to the city with silver coins to buy food, advising him to be cautious and not reveal their identity. When he entered the city, everything felt strange. The buildings were different, the people dressed differently, the atmosphere had changed, and when he used the ancient coins, shock spread. The people realized these coins belonged to a forgotten era. The matter reached the king of that time, a believer, who understood that this was a sign of Allah. The youth were brought out, and their story became a living proof of resurrection, of Allah's power over time and life. Soon after, Allah took their souls, honoring them as signs for humanity. Allah did not reveal their exact number, teaching us that details are not as important as lessons. Their story teaches us that faith is not about ease, it is about choice. When belief becomes difficult, Allah makes a way. When the world closes its doors, Allah opens a cave. When you leave something for Allah, He replaces it with something far greater, sometimes beyond imagination, sometimes beyond time itself. Ashab-e-Kahf were not saved because they were many, or strong, or famous. They were saved because they believed sincerely, trusted completely, and stood firm when standing firm was dangerous. This story is not locked in history. It lives today. Every believer who fears losing a job for truth, losing people for faith, losing safety for honesty, is walking the path of Ashab-e-Kahf. And Allah, who protected them in a cave, is still the same Allah today. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that Allah's help comes in ways we cannot imagine, then support by subscribing to the channel, liking the video, and sharing it with others. Because stories like these are not just meant to be heard, they are meant to awaken hearts. Until the next story, may Allah protect your faith, guide your steps, and grant you a cave of mercy whenever the world becomes too heavy.